Hi, folks. Welcome to the Goldcast. Today I'm joined by Mr. David Morgan. David is a precious metals analyst. He is an author of 3 books, including the Silver Manifesto, and he is also the publisher of the Morgan Report. So, David, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah. So, I guess to get started, what advice would you give to just new people who maybe they've seen all the news going on lately and they decided they want to start investing in gold and silver right now? Obviously right now the prices have increased a lot, but what advice would you give for somebody who's looking to build a portfolio over time in precious metals?
That's a great question. I think the best answer anyone could give to that question is education. You really want to know the why behind precious metals. And that's something that's kind of suppressed, repressed. I mean, it is basically out in the public, but it's not ever brought to the fore in a public school system. And really, in even college level, even Ivy League schools, they just diss the topic entirely. It'd be only in very rare schools where you have classic educations like the Mises Institute in Georgia. Then there's some other schools that friends of mine have attended, or their children, I should say, have attended. But the root fundamental problem is all fiat fails. You've heard me say it 1,000 times because it's 1,000 times 1,000 true. And shameless plug here, I'll get it in before I forget. One of the best dissertations, and I'm biased because I wrote the book with Chris Marchese, is the Silver Manifesto, and I just got 1,000 copies republished. So if you look up the Silver Manifesto on Amazon, you're going to pay $175, $200. The URL is active again, thesilvermanifesto.com. Again, it's all one word, thesilvermanifesto.com. You can buy it direct, and my secretary will mail them out to you. And there's that. So that's one place of several to get an education. Certainly, you don't have to buy the book, although it's well worth the money in my view. Plus, if you're interested in the mining sector, there's a whole chapter on how we select a mining company. So you don't want to divert too far. I mean, it's on topic. Be educated. Know why you're investing. Know why it's important. Know why at the final stages of a great inflationary experiment, number 258, you're going to end up with paper, and you may be carrying around one of those signs that was so popular in Zimbabwe about a decade ago, starving billionaire. There was a guy with a cardboard sign holding it up with all the $1 trillion notes he had. Starving billionaire, because people think and have been taught to believe that the more zeros they have on their bank account, the richer they are, not knowing monetary history.
So yeah, that's a great, I guess, outline. Obviously, people need to do a lot of research. Do you have any specific advice that would be let's say I was an individual investor and I was just, maybe I lost a lot of money in the stock market last year. And I'm seeing silver and gold are doing very well, but I don't want to get in right, at the peak of the prices per se. Do you think it's still a good time to get in? Do you think they should just buy slowly over time? Should they wait for prices to go down? What's your perspective on that?
Well, again, this is in the public domain. I wrote this years ago, but it's called The 10 Rules of Silver Investing. So if you Google David Morgan, 10 Rules of Silver Investing, you'll get a ton of ads at the top. But if you scroll down, you will find it. And it gives you an outline. And the answer is yes. I mean, basically, most people that finally figure out what's going on, and it's, again, a repeat of history, except this time it's a worldwide crisis, not just the Roman Empire, which was huge, and not just a nation state like Zimbabwe. It's going to be global, which means I think the price paradigm in the precious metals is going to go to levels that few of us can imagine, because there's so much phony fiat funny money out there being printed daily that amounts to no more than nothing at the end of the day, which we're not there yet. Yeah. So that's it. I would say in the 10 rules of silver investing, the best thing is get a position no matter what, and 2, build it up over time. Don't rush in. You're gonna, buy it and it's gonna go down. You're gonna be upset with yourself or upset with me or whatever. But accumulate. I'd say right here, right now, I'd say the way I feel about it, which could change, 6 months, year at the most. I think after the election, depending on how that goes one way or the other, it's not going to change the fundamental economic situation. I don't care who's in there. But what could change is the attitude about it, which could dramatically change the amount of money running into the metals. So regardless, you need to establish a position, and there's no time like the present, but start, don't load up. Too many people catch on to the story and they say, oh my goodness, that's just unbelievable. I never knew this. This is fantastic information. I've got to take action. I'm so glad I learned this. And they jump in with both feet in the deep end. And then they find out that the metals can do like any market, go up and down. And all of a sudden they've jumped in too deep, too far, too fast. And now they don't want to get out. And, their metals investments off 20% and it stays there for 6 months or longer. I mean, I'm somewhat famous for coining the expression that the silver market especially will scare you out or wear you out. And it can scare you out with these big moves up and down. And it can also wear you out because it just grinds and grinds and grinds. And most of the people that have been worn out are gone. Now we have new buyers. It's a fresher market. I mean, there's bulls that will never give up, but there are a lot of people that are quasi bulls, or they've done what I've taught, which is, I would love to think, and this is not true at all, but I'd love to think that people actually took the conditional response I give and put 10% in the metals and forget about it. Just have a position fully paid for that you can touch and forget about it. Now, if most people did that, and I'm sure there's plenty that did do that, they're probably fine. They probably stayed in the stock market or whatever. So don't want to blow the point up too far, but there's a tendency, from my experience, which is several years, that people get the story, they understand the story, and then they overdo it instead of doing the appropriate amount for them. Is 10% the right amount for everybody? No, it's not. Some are better with 20%, some are better with 25%, some are better with more than that. But on a portfolio analysis, objectively, the correct amount is actually 25%, which is pretty high. But those are the times we're in.
Yeah, and obviously, probably most investors have much less than that as well. Yeah. So